And even though this discovery goes against everything the pharmaceutical industry preaches, it's completely true and scientifically based. Let me explain. Indeed, when we eat pasta or something sweet, our glucose naturally rises, but that's not what causes type 2 diabetes. After all, we have a specific organ just to handle the glucose we eat, the pancreas. The problem is that some people's pancreas stops producing insulin, and that's what leads to excess blood sugar. But no matter how hard researchers tried to reverse this problem, until recently, it was practically impossible to do so. And I said it right, it was impossible. Because in 2023, everything changed. Thanks to research that took 20 years to complete, we now know what's behind this pancreas failure. A diabetes bacteria that silently hides in our body, causing deadly blood glucose spikes. And the worst comes after, because if this bacteria isn't eliminated, it starts attacking vital organs like the heart, liver, and kidneys, raising blood sugar. And that's what's causing blindness, amputation, heart attacks, and even death in millions of innocent Americans who had no idea about this dangerous bacteria. Well, for those who don't know me, my name is Miles Prescott. I'm married to the love of my life, Holly. Together we have 3 children and 7 grandchildren. I'm also a type 2 diabetes research specialist with over 10 years of experience. I had the unique opportunity to study and work at the University of Melbourne, Australia. And today, I'm known to my patients as the diabetes doctor. And I'm also the chief director of the Prescott Institute, my own clinic in Cheyenne, Wyoming, focused on natural treatments for high blood sugar and type 2 diabetes. Well, I think that's it.
So, Dr. Prescott, we already know you're one of the most respected researchers in the US today, but I received information that, believe it or not, your own wife faced serious problems with this disease. Is that true?
Yes, unfortunately, that's the truth, Matt. Holly suffered from type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years, and she almost went into a permanent coma and had her life destroyed because of this awful disease. Unfortunately, current treatments like glucophage, insulin, and diets weren't enough for her case. We found this out the hard way by spending thousands of dollars on them. The good news is that for folks watching us, things can be different starting today.
I want to understand a bit more about type 2 diabetes. What were your wife's first symptoms? And how can we identify them? Give us a quick explanation so our audience can stay alert and seek medical help as soon as possible.
That's a great question. Well, my wife's initial symptoms were the same ones that are common for most pre-diabetic and diabetic people. Uncontrollable cravings for sweets like cakes, pies, chocolate, and ice cream. And then she started feeling very tired and couldn't even cook properly anymore, not to mention the tingling in her feet and sometimes blurry vision. So as a health researcher, I wasn't a diabetes specialist yet. At the time, I knew these symptoms were dangerous. And that's why I decided to take her to one of the best endocrinologists in town. It was on that very day that we discovered what I feared most, the diagnosis of advanced stage 2 diabetes. Well, I admit this was quite a shock for the family. We weren't expecting such bad news. After all, my wife had always been a very active and independent woman, the kind who works, takes care of the kids, and still finds time to exercise and have fun. She had finally retired and was ready to use all her free time on new hobbies and enjoying our grandkids. But suddenly, all of that went down the drain in the blink of an eye.
Wow, Dr. Prescott. This situation must have been very difficult for you and your family.
It always is, right? Especially when it's your own wife. Man, seeing the love of your life suffering day after day because of a disease that's hard to treat, that's something I couldn't wish on anyone. But even so, the worst was yet to come. It was about 2 years ago at my oldest granddaughter's birthday. Everyone came for Kathy's 6th birthday. My children, their wives, their kids. I even invited some close friends and neighbors too. And it was right then that my granddaughter asked if Grandma wasn't going to eat a piece of the cake that she had cut herself. My wife tried to play it off and even asked my granddaughter to let Grandma rest. But you know how kids are, right? They don't understand. That's when my wife said, "Oh, sweetie, I'll have your cake." I was scared, but at the time I thought, it's just one slice, right? It's not a big deal. And everything seemed like it would be fine for a while, until a few minutes later I saw my wife looking kind of dizzy walking across the lawn. That's when she leaned on and sat down as best she could in the chair near the pool. I ran to see how she was feeling, but as soon as I got there, I saw her eyes rolling back and she fell to the ground. There was no time to think about anything else. He carried her and put her in the car and took her to the hospital. A few minutes after she was admitted, the doctor came to tell us that she had gone into a diabetic coma. and he couldn't guarantee she would ever wake up again. At that moment, I felt mixed emotions, guilt, fear, panic, but above all, my blood boiled with anger. I was furious with all the incompetent doctors and specialists who couldn't truly help her.
Oh my God, Dr. Prescott, I can't even imagine what it was like going through all that. Then all this anger and frustration became fuel for you to find a way out?
I believe everything that happens in life is because, well, God has a purpose. Because this nightmare made me take drastic action. That's when I devoted myself heart and soul to finding a solution, a treatment, a light at the end of the tunnel that would really do something for my wife and that could, well, help other people free themselves from diabetes and all the risks that this disease causes.
Now, can you tell us more about your discovery of the diabetes bacteria and how our viewers can know if they're infected by it? And, of course, how they can eliminate it to reverse diabetes too?
Of course I can. Well, let's get to the facts. I promise I'll be very simple and straightforward. You see, during the following months, I spent all my time looking for information about diabetes, anything that could help me. I read medical website forums, called universities to learn about the studies that were published. I read specific reports too, but didn't find anything new. The conclusions were always the same. Take your medication, stop eating carbs, accept having diabetes. But that was the problem. Nobody should accept being diabetic. That's because, according to the National Heart Association, 1 in 5 diabetics needs to have an arm or leg amputated. And diabetes increases the risk of having a stroke by 150%. Plus, specialized journals like Diabetes Care have confirmed that almost half of all patients risk losing their vision. My research also gave me the thread of hope I needed to continue, because I ended up finding an incredible study that revealed the whole truth about diabetes. Look, nowadays many people know how important it is to keep our gut health regulated. After all, that's where our gut microbiota is located, home to 100 trillion bacteria that are extremely important for our health, because they help with food digestion, production of some vitamins, protection against harmful microorganisms, and even regulation of our immune system. What many don't know is that within this microbiota, there are basically 2 types of bacteria, the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. And this is exactly where things get interesting, Matt. A recent study published in August 2023, conducted by researchers at the University of California, found that the gut of healthy and diabetic people are inhabited by different types of bacteria. In other words, healthy people without diabetes have in their gut a larger amount of good bacteria that work by helping the pancreas produce insulin, while diabetic people who suffer from unregulated insulin and high blood sugar levels have more bad bacteria, also called diabetes bacteria, that attack the pancreas and make it produce less insulin. And one of these bacteria in particular is called Coprococcus, or CPR for short. I know this might seem a little bit strange, right? But this innovative idea was also scientifically proven a few years ago by the University of Tokyo in Japan. In this experiment, Japanese diabetic patients were divided into 2 groups. The first group was instructed to follow a restrictive diet, avoiding sweets and carbs, and exercise daily, while in the second group couldn't do any of that. Actually, they were given just one mission: to increase the number of good bacteria in their gut. After analyzing the gut microbiota of both groups, it was found that people in the first group, the ones who dieted, avoided sweets, and even exercised, couldn't lower their blood sugar levels because they had a predominance of diabetes bacteria in their gut. Meanwhile, those in the second group who had boosted their good bacteria had their insulin levels normalized and blood sugar stabilized at less than 100 points. The conclusion of this study is that bacteria can either regulate or destroy all your insulin production and blood sugar levels. In other words, they can determine whether you have diabetes or not. If your body is infested with diabetes bacteria, especially the CPR bacteria, even if you diet, exercise, stop eating sweets, or try anything else, you'll never be able to balance your glucose and get rid of diabetes. Most common treatments don't work. They ignore the real problem, the diabetes CPR bacteria that's behind all of this, which means that beyond diabetes, in the near future, it can lead to other health problems like severe inflammation, infections, incurable syndromes, and even Alzheimer's. Scary, isn't it?
This is really shocking and should be taken very seriously. To be honest, I knew a little about the importance of gut health, but I had no idea there were these diabetes bacteria that were so harmful, like this CPR bacteria. From today on, I'll definitely be more careful about this. But now, answer me a question that I imagine all our viewers want to know, doctor, is there a simple way to fight this bacteria to reverse diabetes? A cheap, fast, and natural way?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. But fortunately, yes, there is. After discovering this whole story about good and bad bacteria, I understood that the key to ending high blood sugar problems and reversing diabetes is precisely to eliminate the bad bacteria and have more good bacteria in the gut. And the world's most advanced studies show that the best way to do this is what we call polyphenol. Polyphenol is a type of highly potent natural substance found in many herbs and medicinal plants. It's been studied for many years for therapeutic use. And thanks to this antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, it also has high protective power, but that's not all. The reason why polyphenol can help gut health and stabilize glucose is because besides helping eliminate diabetes bacteria, it also promotes the growth of good bacteria in the gut. In other words, it's like food for your good bacteria.
Wow, that's amazing. But what's the most potent polyphenol you found, doctor?
According to my studies, the most potent and scientifically proven source is cinnamon extract. For starters, cinnamon extract is about 21 times more powerful than any other source of polyphenols. It's known for its anti-aging powers, not to mention its anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, and immunomodulator effects, which means it can literally eliminate bad bacteria from the gut completely. In fact, scientists call it the bacteria killer, thanks to its high ability to safely eliminate bad bacteria and regulate blood glucose once and for all. Look at this. In a recent clinical study conducted in December 2023, 85 volunteers complaining of high glucose and other diabetic symptoms were divided into two groups. One group would receive concentrated cinnamon extract supplementation, while the other would receive only 4 capsules, placebo, and after 24 weeks, researchers noticed that the group that received cinnamon extract supplementation managed to reduce blood glucose and also decrease their insulin resistance, while the placebo group reported no significant improvements. In other words, besides naturally reducing blood glucose and fighting diabetes, cinnamon extract also improved the volunteers' natural insulin use. After seeing this study, it became clear that cinnamon extract could eliminate bad bacteria in pre-diabetic people.
Wow, this is truly impressive. Undeniable proof that we're looking at a solution that can change lives.
Exactly.
Could we put the images and screenshots of these studies on the screen, doctor, so people watching at home can see better?
Yes, we can. I actually have the references right here. Production, please put them on the screen.
Very good. Now, Dr. Prescott, clear up a really important doubt that keeps nagging at me. And I believe it's on our audience's minds too. All this seems great. The bad bacteria that attack the pancreas, the polyphenols from cinnamon extract that eliminate these bacteria and increase the good ones that prevent insulin resistance, the reversal of diabetes. But why isn't this treatment widely publicized everywhere? Why had I never heard of this before? After all, if it's so good, why isn't everyone talking about it?
That's an excellent question, Matt. Really a good one. You need to understand a few things about the pharmaceutical research in big pharma. First, you won't find these studies on the front page of your newspaper or on TV because big pharmaceutical companies hide anything that might endanger their interests. But if you take a quick look at the research archives of the University of Melbourne, where I studied and worked, if you read the exhaustive research done by scientists at the University of California, or if you dig into discoveries made by other respected universities in Europe, you'll find them easily. Second, because it's a natural treatment, something extracted from nature itself and not created in a laboratory, the pharmaceutical industry can't patent polyphenols and claim it as their property. And third and final reason, because it's not something the industry can patent and profit millions from. This can become a risk to the revenue, and that's another reason for them to cut funding and pull the rug out from under researchers. Unfortunately, because of this, companies' interest in investing and promoting such a fantastic solution is reduced to zero. And in the end, it's us, ordinary people, who pay the price for this relentless greed. I wanted to go further and create something really powerful that would eliminate the diabetes bacteria and insulin resistance so that anyone's body could go back to living diabetes-free. That's why I decided to add some more special ingredients to the formula. The first additional ingredient is fenugreek. Fenugreek is known for improving insulin sensitivity and reducing blood glucose levels essential for diabetics and pre-diabetics. In fact, recent studies have shown it's just as effective at fighting diabetes symptoms as metformin and glucophage, but without the side effects of these medications. The next ingredient is chromium. Chromium is considered a powerful prebiotic, which means it serves as food for the good bacteria in your gut. This means it not only improves your digestion and nutrient absorption, like the polyphenols from cinnamon extract, but also balances our gut flora, which strengthens our immunity and reduces inflammation throughout your body. Plus, it promotes feeling full, helping with weight reduction. The final ingredients are berberine, inulin, vitamin D, bitter melon, banaba extract, and gynostemma pentaphyllum. Together, they speed up the metabolism, helping burn fat and maintain a healthy weight, while decreasing bad bacteria and increasing good bacteria. A study by Spanish researchers at the Biomedical Research Unit, published on PubMed, concluded that bitter melon reduced the amount of bad bacteria in participants by up to 93%. Meanwhile, banaba extract improved insulin sensitivity in volunteers, allowing blood sugar levels to drop almost instantly. And the gynostemma pentaphyllum extract helped participants eliminate bad gut bacteria and reverse insulin resistance. This allowed them to reduce their blood glucose by 35.2% and achieve lower glycated hemoglobin levels.